the 6th of April 2003 and two A-10 Thunderbolt strike aircraft soar in the skies of Iraq near Baghdad. Flight leader Lieutenant Colonel Raymond Donk T. Strasburger and his wingman Captain Greg Billy Bob Thornton are on a reconnaissance mission in support of coalition forces on the ground. But the Warthogs can't see any of the action. A sandstorm has rolled in underneath them and engulfed the entire region. The two aviators circle above in search of breaks in the weather, but then there's an urgent transmission from the ground. It's not good news. Their friend, First Lieutenant John Coke Bloker, tells the pilots that Task Force 269 are pinned down under heavy fire at Mathana Bridge near his position. The 1st Hammurabi Republican Guard Armored Division have T-72s firing across the Tigris River and shelling the Americans relentlessly. Americans are low on supplies and exhausted after many hours of battle. They can't hit back.
If the Iraqis cross the bridge, it's over for us. We need help.
Are you ready? Yeah.
The two Warthogs flip over and dive straight into the heavy sandstorm. Visibility is way below any measure of safety. On the ground, Iraqi infantry comes out of hiding and opens fire on the American troops. Coke ducks as bullets fill the air.
Donk, we need you now. I mean, right now!
Donk and Billy Bob can hear the gunshots and explosions in the background of Coke's transmission. Suddenly, the buildings of Baghdad emerge up ahead as the two flyers level out low over the city.
What a lovely day.
The Tigris River comes into view and they follow it north, racing for the objective, buildings zipping by either side. On the ground, Coke pulls out his rifle and starts returning fire at the muzzle flashes ripping like lightning through the haze. He relays increasingly urgent radio transmissions without wasting a second.
I confirm, no friendlies to the east of the bridge.
He's fighting two battles at once. Donk and Billy Bob approach at breakneck speed. As they listen to the transmissions from the ground, the outline of the bridge starts to emerge.
Break left.
Billy Bob pulls off Donk's side, giving his leader space as the target area appears up ahead. The bridge is now in clear view. Donk pulls on his stick and flies over, a wave of jet engine roar breaking over the battlefield. Donk peers over his shoulder, searching for the target, but the ground vanishes into the storm before he can see a thing. He needs to mark the target so Coke on the ground can confirm he's in the right position.
I'm dropping a mark.
He selects his rocket pods armed with smoke ammunition as he lines up once again with the river and the bridge. This time, the Iraqi anti-aircraft guns are waiting for him. 23mm anti-aircraft cannons roar to life, sending columns of tracers in huge arcs through the air. A burst of fire narrowly misses its jet. But Donk pushes on. He aims for the bridge's eastern base and pulls the trigger. But nothing happens. The rockets malfunction.
Damn it!
The bridge is coming up fast. He sees the muzzle flashes of tanks and silhouettes of vehicles as he flies fast and low over the target. Without smoke rockets or time to think, he presses flare release button and dumps a line of pyrotechnics across the riverbank. He pulls hard to the right, skimming just over the buildings as he escapes the flurry of anti-aircraft fire.
We're getting AAA and I do see the tank. I request clearance in when able.
Even through the storm, Coke sees the flares far in the distance. He knows Donk is right on it.
Donk, you're clear to engage.
Copy, clear to engage.
Donk turned back around, this time armed with real firepower. Iraqi AAA gunners frantically search the hazy skies for the source of the jet engine roar as the menacing figure of Donk's Thunderbolt appears in the distance. The poor visibility makes aiming the hand-cranked guns extraordinarily difficult. Streams of tracers rise towards Donk and chase him across the sky, zipping by mere feet from his aircraft. But Donk is unfazed. He spots the enemy through the hail of lead, tanks and APCs firing across the river. He sees a BMP charging for the bridge. Donk fixes his reticle directly on the target and pulls the trigger. The terrifying signature groan of the GAU-8 menaces the battlefield, reducing the personnel carrier to scrap. Donk soars just over the enemy as he pulls the nose up and turns west towards Allied lines, followed by columns of anti-aircraft fire.
I have tanks on the circle, Bob.
Donk's dash suddenly erupts with warning lights. He thinks he's been hit. Donk flies away from the action as he diagnoses his aircraft, testing the controls and checking his systems. The plane's flying normally, fuel isn't leaking, and the engines look healthy. The only thing he finds wrong is that the drop-compensated reticle has disappeared from his head-up display. He clears the master alarm and attempts to reboot the ballistics computer, but it's completely dead. Out of time, he clears his wingman to take his place. Billy Bob doesn't need to be told twice.
DMOP 7-2 in hot from the south.
He turns his A-10 down through the storm and lines himself up with the river. Battlefield becomes clearer amid the haze, and he lands the crosshairs on his first target he sees, a T-72 main battle tank. The enemy tank is slammed by a deluge of armor-piercing 30mm shells. Sparks fly, and in moments, fire begins, bellowing out the hatches. He soars above, escaping the enemy fire, unscathed.
I got that sucker. He's running the west edge of the circle, boss.
Donk can't get the computer turned on, but he still has an old-school crosshair. His aim might be off, but there are problems below and he can deliver 3,900 solutions per minute. He's got to try.
Going in.
Donk charges into the scene, tracers rip past his canopy, and several targets come into view. He lands his old-school crosshairs above them and pulls the trigger. The cannon shudders into action with its terrifying clatter. 30mm rounds rip through the earth, and he rages past above, unsure if he's hit anything.
Cleared hot.
Billy Bob races south down the river, now on his second pass. With no new targets, he sprays a short burst into the already destroyed tank, before turning his aircraft upside down. Up close, the orange glare provides no concealment, and he sees an anti-aircraft gun, supply trucks, and another T-72 firing across the river. Billy Bob is itching to tear the anti-aircraft guns to shreds, but any one of those tank shells could claim the lives of the American troops. He can't think of himself. The tanks have to be destroyed first.
Hey, I got a second T-72 eastern position of the roundabout. Confirm I'm clear back in. You're clear back in.
Billy Bob prepares another pass, but in the meantime, Donk has his eye on fuel levels. They're approaching bingo fuel, the minimum amount they need to get back to the airfield. But they calculated it on the ground before the specifics of this mission were known. Donk knows they can stay in flight for longer.
I'm recalculating bingo.
Donk checks the distance to the nearest airbase, doing the math in his head while guiding the aircraft through the storm. Meanwhile, Billy Bob is tracking the river for a third time. He now knows his targets. The area comes into view, and he's greeted by the now irritatingly familiar columns of anti-aircraft fire. Billy Bob presses on, fixing his reticle on the intact T-72. The Warthog's armor-piercing ammunition punches clean through the tank's weak roof. The T-72 explodes into a massive fireball as Billy Bob screams overhead. Up above, Donk finishes his calculations. They can lower Bingo by 500 pounds of fuel and still make it to the nearest airbase on minimum.
Revise bingo down by 500. Copy.
Billy Bob adjusts his gauges and turns in for another run. Once again, he races up the river, ready to destroy the supply trucks next. He has no hope of seeing the single soldier on the roof, carrying a manpad, portable anti-air system. The missile launches off his tube and surges into the air. Billy Bob doesn't see it coming. The incoming missile tracks and then momentarily loses its target and flies right past his left wing. Billy Bob breaks right and abandons the run, escaping west into the Allied lines. His heart's racing. He was a foot away from death.
Are you alright? Yeah.
He pushes that to the back of his mind and turns around for another run. Once more, bullets zip past his cockpit. They're getting close, but not close enough. The supply trucks come into view, and he pulls the trigger. 30mm fire tears them to shreds, their cargo bursting into flames as Billy Bob escapes the scene.
Got the trucks. Copy. I'm going in.
Donk sweeps in for another run. Still without a ballistics computer, he instead selects a Maverick air-to-ground missile and opens its camera on his multifunction display. He needs to select his target, but with the terrible conditions, he can see nothing through the camera. He has to be fast. The target area comes into view, and with it comes the anti-aircraft fire. He holds his course. The targets appear on screen and are approaching rapidly. He quickly moves the selector over to another BMP and launches the missile. It rockets off the rail and makes a sharp turn downwards, slamming into the BMP from above with a burst of flames. The Iraqis are taking heavy losses. Pinned below the oppressive watch of the Warthogs, they pull back from the riverbank to hide amidst the buildings. The American armored forces see the shelling come to an end. Lacking fire support, the Iraqi infantry attack in the rear also starts to retreat.
The enemy's pulling back. You're doing a great job.
Relief lifts the pilots, but it's interrupted by the flashes of AAA flying through the air.
Bob, one more run and we have to RTB. Let's take these guns out. Hell, it's about time.
Billy Bob turned back towards the target area, his attention set on that one AAA battery he saw at the beginning of the fight. Billy Bob aligns his reticle and fires. The anti-aircraft gun is torn apart. He turns back west over Allied lines, and through his canopy he sees a column of tracers, barely missing his wingtips as he beats a retreat. Up above, Donk spots that second AAA gun firing right at his wingman.
D-Mob 7-1, coming in from the south.
D-Mob, this is Advance. You're making battalion and company commander really happy right now.
احصل على المزيد. إنه أمر.
You could continue to do that as much as possible. I understand you're taking AAA, so be safe up there, but as much as you can roll in on those targets. You're good. Good hit.
With a devastating burst, the second gun is turned to scrap.
Go, quarter bingo. How copy?
Copy that. Second flight of Alpha 10's incoming. Guys down there send their regards. Good work. When I see you back home, drinks are on me.
Copy that. Good luck down there.
Donk and Billy Bob leave the scene after 40 minutes of grueling battle. Thanks to their efforts, Task Force 269 suffer minimal casualties and no loss of armored vehicles. Raymond Donk Strasburger and Greg Billy Bob Thornton were both awarded the Silver Star for their heroic actions and incredible airmanship in the most challenging conditions. John Coke Blocker, an A-10 pilot himself, would be awarded the Bronze Star and the Air Force Commendation Medal of Valor. They all survived the war, and we hope they enjoy this film.
We did what we could, but it wasn't enough.